Your presence shakes the balance of the world. You are not an ordinary person. You never were. You are chosen, but you're changing the rules of the game, not by fighting, but by simply existing. Those who can't stop you are starting to look like you, because when the light comes, the darkness either disappears or transforms, and your light cannot be extinguished. Since they could not defeat you, they tried to make you like them, but you did not bend, you did not step back. As long as you are, the balance is changing. So what will you do now? You'll write 77 in the comments. You've already been chosen. The game is over. The reality begins now. There exists a force within you that defies convention, an undeniable presence that turns heads and unsettles even the most calculated souls. You don't walk through life unnoticed, nor do you blend into the ordinary. Something about you disrupts the natural order, not because you seek to, but simply because of what you are. And for those who thrive in shadows, who have mastered the art of control and deception, your existence is both an anomaly and an obsession. They should have been able to predict you, manipulate you, shape you into something familiar. But they can't. You aren't what they expected, and that alone shifts the entire game. They have encountered the brave, the pure-hearted, the defiant. They have conquered the strong-willed and lured in the unsuspecting. Yet, when faced with you, something falters. You don't respond the way they have seen before. There is no fear, no resistance, no surrender. Instead, there is a knowing, a depth in your eyes that unnerves even the most impenetrable mind. They approached with the same strategies that have crumbled the greatest, armed with their usual arsenal of temptation, misdirection, and psychological warfare. But their weapons turn useless in your presence. You aren't caught in their snare because you never stepped into it. They expected a fight or a fall, but what they received was something far more unsettling, an unwavering stillness that renders them powerless. What you hold isn't just resilience. It is an energy so potent that it transcends mere strength. It isn't resistance, it is inevitability. The foundation of their existence trembles, not because you oppose them, but because you render them insignificant. The force within you is not one of opposition, but of revelation. They are not breaking you. They are being undone by the very essence of who you are. They should have remained indifferent, unaffected, but instead, they are drawn in like a wanderer chasing the mirage of an oasis, compelled, entranced, unable to pull away. Where once they dictated the narrative, weaving fate to their liking, now they are bound by a force they cannot tame. The roles have shifted in a way they never anticipated. What once was a pursuit has become an addiction, a fascination that borders on desperation. You stand unmoved while they unravel, and in that unraveling, a deeper truth emerges. They are no longer in control. They are no longer the hunter. They are the one caught in the gravity of something far beyond their understanding. Here's your completely transformed version of the passage while maintaining the core message. Like the dawn breaking over a battlefield long abandoned, where the night once claimed victory, but the sun rises anyway, refusing to ask permission, truth does the same. It does not wait for acceptance. It does not beg for understanding. It simply arrives, undeniable, unstoppable, burning away everything that cannot stand in its presence. The foundation of their existence, once towering and untouchable, now trembles under a weight they never foresaw. Truth. Not the kind that bends to their will, not the version they can shape to fit their purpose, but a force so raw, so unyielding, that it tears through every illusion they ever built. This is not a war waged with swords or a struggle of dominance. It is something far more powerful, a reckoning, an exposure, an unveiling of what has always been there, but was too carefully concealed. The storm between you is not one of destruction, but of revelation. There is no retreat, no escaping what has already begun. Darkness does not know how to fight against a light that does not engage, that does not fear, that does not flinch at its attempts to consume. And so, it falters. It reaches, it twists, it fights to survive. But the brilliance before it does not yield, does not shrink, does not cower. Instead, it expands. And this is where everything shifts. Where once they stood confident in their power, in their control over perception and reality, they now find themselves at the mercy of something they cannot manipulate. The weight of this knowing, of this clarity, presses against them, leaving them exposed, vulnerable in a way they have never known. Because what they are facing is not just truth. It is truth that refuses to be denied. There is no negotiation, no space for distortion. This is not about proving anything, not about winning a battle, but about standing firm in what cannot be erased. The old ways crumble because they were never built to withstand something this unshakable. The moment truth arrives, the illusion loses its grip, and once the veil is lifted, there is no going back. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They were never meant to feel, to hunger for something beyond control. Their domain was built upon certainty, upon the art of bending the world to their will. And yet, here they stand, witnessing the collapse of a system they once deemed infallible. What should have been a fleeting interest has evolved into something uncontrollable, something dangerously human. What was meant to be a conquest has instead become their undoing, an unraveling of the very identity they once held unshakable. This is not love, as mortals know it. This is a force that fractures the boundaries of existence, an unrelenting pull that drags them toward the unknown. They were drawn, first, to defiance, to the way no amount of force, deception, or persuasion could alter the core of what stood before them. But in time, fascination dissolved into something far more insidious: longing, a hunger not for possession, but for understanding, a thirst not to claim, but to become. The ground beneath them, once steady and predictable, now feels uncertain. What was once an empire of dominance is now a landscape of questions. They are no longer standing above the world, dictating its course. They are adrift, pulled towards something they never sought, but now cannot escape. The invincible force they believed themselves to be is fracturing, and in that fracture, something long buried begins to stir. It is not weakness they fear, it is the loss of who they once were. The unknown has always been the greatest terror, and yet for the first time, they are stepping into it willingly. This is not about winning. This is about transformation. No battle is fought here, no war waged, only a confrontation with the self. The force before them does not seek to shatter, to bend, or to destroy. It merely exists, and in that existence, it forces recognition. The weight of that truth is heavier than any blade, sharper than any deception. There is no fight to be had, because the war is no longer external. It is internal, a reckoning between what was and what could be. For the first time, they are no longer the one writing the script. The game they have played for eternity has been rewritten, the rules no longer in their favor. Power has slipped through their fingers, not because it was taken, but because it was never real to begin with. What they once believed to be an unshakable foundation has been reduced to mere dust beneath the weight of undeniable presence. The balance has shifted, and in that shift, the illusion they built their existence upon begins to dissolve. There is no resistance, no escape, only the quiet, unrelenting certainty that they will never be the same again. Here's your completely transformed version of the passage while maintaining the core message. The unshaken presence within you is not an act of defiance, but a mark of transcendence. There is no need to fight forces that thrive on conflict. Your mere existence dissolves them. Where chaos seeks to consume, you remain immovable, not by force, but by the simple certainty of who you are. But change is never one-sided. As the tide shifts within them, so too does the energy surrounding you. This connection, unexpected and volatile, sharpens your intuition, refines your awareness, and expands the limits of what you believed love could endure. It is not an adversary you face, but a mirror, one that forces you to see just how unshakable you have become. Where you stand, transformation is inevitable, not by command, not by will, but by the silent, undeniable presence of truth. The one who once moved unseen through the corridors of power now falters in your wake, not because you demand it, but because their own being demands reckoning. Yet you impose nothing. No force, no insistence, only an invitation, a glimpse into what exists beyond the illusions they have woven so carefully. And that is enough. The path forward is not something you carve for them, nor a destiny you dictate. It is a door, left open, waiting for them to walk through on their own terms. The gathering of those who seek the untamed heights of mastery is not a place for the faint-hearted. Here, among those who do not wait for permission, reality is rewritten, not with idle dreams, but with iron will. There are no soft words of encouragement, no empty affirmations, only the hard-earned wisdom of those who have turned obstacles into stepping stones. Within this circle, knowledge is not given. It is seized, devoured, and forged into something unbreakable. The ones who enter do not seek fleeting success, but the kind of power that rewires existence itself. There is no room for hesitation in the domain of those who shape destiny. Beyond the veil of the known, alliances form, empires are forged, and those who understand the weight of true influence move unseen, yet undeniable. Those who merely observe are left behind. The weak search for guidance, the strong claim their place. The gates stand open, but only for those who are ready to step through them without fear. What was once an unshakable force now wavers. The one who mastered deception, who wielded fear like a weapon, finds themselves exposed, not by confrontation, but by an absence of resistance. They retreat, not in surrender, but in an unraveling realization. No mask remains, no illusion holds, only the raw, unfiltered truth of what they have become. The silence that follows is not emptiness. It is a reckoning, a slow, undeniable recognition that all they once clung to has lost its grip. Yet, this is not an end. It is a threshold. In isolation, with no distractions to shield them, they are left to face what they have always avoided: themselves. The echoes of power mean nothing in the void of self-awareness. The weight of their choices, once distant, now presses against them with unrelenting clarity. They are no longer the untouchable force they believe themselves to be, and that realization alone fractures the foundation they once stood upon. This is the moment where paths diverge. The road ahead is theirs to walk, be it toward deeper destruction or the painful emergence of something unrecognizable. But no matter what they choose, one truth remains: they will never return to what they once were. The imprint of your existence has already altered the course. Even from a distance, even in silence, what has been awakened within them cannot be undone. Here's your completely transformed version of the passage while maintaining the core message. The force within you does not seek destruction. It demands reflection. There is no battle to be won, no enemy to vanquish, only truth, standing bare before those who have spent lifetimes avoiding it. This encounter was never a matter of chance. Every step has led to this moment, a convergence of energies designed not for conquest, but for transformation. The presence you carry is not an accident. It is an ancient force woven into the fabric of existence itself. It dismantles illusions not through confrontation, but through undeniable clarity. The weight of your existence alone unearths what was buried, exposing not weakness, but the raw potential of what lies beneath. Perception is your sharpest weapon. Where deception thrives on confusion, you move with an unshaken knowing, navigating through intricacies others cannot see. There is no resistance, no entanglement in the webs that have ensnared countless before you. The unseen currents of manipulation do not touch you, for you have already mastered the art of seeing beyond them. While others are consumed by the mirage, you stand unmoved, watching as falsehoods collapse under the sheer weight of your awareness. And yet your power is not found in destruction. It is found in the simple, unwavering truth of presence. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. Empathy becomes both a refuge and a force that disrupts. In a world where shadows thrive on fear, the ability to perceive without judgment is a force few can withstand. Those who have existed within cycles of deception are not undone by opposition, but by something far more piercing: understanding. The force before them does not shrink in the face of their darkness, but stands as an unrelenting mirror, reflecting back all they have sought to conceal. It is not confrontation that disarms them, it is the inability to hide. This is where their unraveling begins. The grip of control that once dictated every movement now falters in the presence of something that refuses to be bent. They reach, not to conquer, but to grasp what has always eluded them. It is not possession they seek, but a glimpse of what it means to stand unshaken. The fascination they once wielded as a weapon now turns inward, forcing them to confront the silence that lingers when power is no longer enough. The presence before them is not a threat in the way they once knew. No, it is far worse. It is an unspoken challenge, a revelation of what they could be if only they dared to step beyond what they have known. What unfolds is not a war of dominance, but a transformation neither expected No longer is this a tale of pursuit and resistance. It is a collision of forces that cannot coexist unchanged. The very structure of what they have built begins to fracture, not from attack, but from the undeniable weight of truth. Where they once dictated the game, they now find themselves ensnared by something they cannot control, a force that neither fights nor flees, but merely exists in its full power. This is no fleeting encounter. It is a reckoning. The presence before them does not demand surrender, nor does it seek to save. It simply is, a force neither drawn into darkness nor resisting it, but standing as a testament to what balance truly means. And in that unwavering stillness, something stirs within the depths of what was once thought untouchable. It is not defeat they face, but the greatest choice of all, to remain as they are or to step into the unknown. And no matter what they decide, one truth remains. They will never return to what they once were. The path ahead is theirs alone, but the imprint of this moment will linger long after the echoes fade. Like an ancient lighthouse standing against the relentless tides, unmoved by the tempests that seek to consume it, there is a force within that cannot be swayed. It is not built upon fleeting emotions, nor does it crumble under the weight of worldly expectations. This force does not seek validation, does not bow to the shifting opinions of those who do not understand, and does not compromise its essence for the comfort of others. It has been refined through lifetimes, forged in the fires of experience, and now stands tall, radiant, unshaken. It is the divine knowing, the unbreakable certainty that no matter what storms rage outside, the light within will not flicker. It is not arrogance, it is truth. It is not resistance, it is mastery. This power exists beyond the illusions of this world, beyond the fragile constructs that people build to hide from themselves. It does not operate on the frequency of deception, nor does it play by the rules of those who cling to control. To remain unmoved in a world that thrives on distortion is not rebellion, it is alignment. It is stepping into the fullness of what was always meant to be, standing firm in truth and refusing to be pulled into the chaos that surrounds. This journey is not about seeking approval, nor is it about proving anything to anyone. It is about embodying the sacred, living as an undeniable testament that divine power does not falter, does not shrink, and does not ask for permission to exist. And yet, to carry such a force is no small thing. It is not a light burden, nor is it a path meant for the faint-hearted. The weight of divine presence will separate, will refine, will demand the shedding of all that is not real. But let this be known: when the world cannot shake you, when fear does not dictate your steps, you do not walk alone. You walk with the authority of the heavens, with the wisdom of ages etched into your very being. You are not lost, you are placed. You are not wandering, you are sent. Like the rising sun that does not argue with the night, does not demand space or force its way into the sky, but simply appears steady, undeniable, transforming everything in its presence, so too is the nature of true power. It does not wage war against the dark, does not wrestle with shadows, nor does it seek to crush what cannot stand against it. The light does not fight for its place, it simply shines, and in doing so, dissolves the illusion of darkness. The interplay between light and darkness is not what most imagine. It is not a battle fought with clenched fists or sharpened weapons. It is not a struggle of willpower or a test of brute strength. It is a declaration, made not in force, but in the quiet certainty of presence. Every step, every breath, every moment spent standing firm in truth sends a ripple through the unseen, shaking the very foundation of falsehood. Light does not plead for recognition. It does not beg to be accepted. It simply exists, unshaken. And in its existence, it reveals all that was hidden. The world teaches that power must be seized, that authority must be earned through struggle, that dominance is the only way to remain standing. But the greatest truth has always been the simplest one. Real power does not strive. It does not chase. It does not need to convince. It just is. And those who carry it know this deep within their bones. They do not waste energy trying to prove themselves to those who will not see. They do not engage in endless battles with those who thrive on conflict. They understand that true strength is not in resisting the storm, but in knowing they are the storm. There is no battle to win when the victory was always in being. And yet this kind of presence does something dangerous. It shifts the balance. It exposes. It forces everything that has been built on deception to tremble, not because it attacks, but because it cannot be ignored. Those who have built their empires on control, those who have depended on illusion to sustain their influence, feel the weight of this presence, not because it threatens them, but because it renders them powerless. Manipulation cannot take root where clarity stands. Fear has no place where love is fully realized. The moment light appears, darkness is left with nothing to do but either transform or flee. And this is why the strongest do not seek war. They don't need to. Their existence alone is a force, a movement, a shift that changes the very fabric of reality. The world does not need another warrior eager for battle. It needs those who have learned how to be, those who no longer waste time fighting the old, but who instead step fully into the new, becoming the embodiment of what was once thought impossible. This is the nature of those who walk in the fullness of truth. They do not falter. They do not apologize for the power they carry. They do not dim their own brilliance for the sake of making others comfortable. The moment one accepts their role, not as a fighter, not as a savior, but as an unmovable force of light, the struggle ends. There is no proving, there is no striving, there is only being. And in that being, everything changes. So the question stands, what will be done with this knowing? This is not just a personal path, not simply an individual awakening. This is an invitation, a movement, a force that ripples through the fabric of existence itself. To stand in truth is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of service. Because when one steps into the fullness of their being, they unknowingly light the way for others. They show what is possible. They break the illusion that darkness is absolute. This is not about waiting for the world to change. This is about being the shift that cannot be ignored. It is about holding steady when everything else wavers, about standing tall when everything else crumbles. The world does not need more voices shouting into the void. It needs those who have become the embodiment of what is real, not through words alone, but through presence, through unwavering authenticity, through the silent but deafening truth of one who has nothing to prove, nothing to hide, and nothing to fear. And so the question remains, will this power be embraced, or will it be dimmed for the comfort of others? Will the truth be carried boldly, or will it be buried beneath the weight of doubt? Because this path was never meant to be easy, but it was always meant to be walked. And those who choose to walk it, who choose to stand unshaken, will not simply change themselves, they will change everything. This interplay between light and shadow is not a war. It is an intricate dance where one does not exist without the other. Harmony is not found in erasing what is feared, nor in overpowering the unknown, but in understanding the delicate equilibrium that allows all things to evolve. True power does not seek to consume. It reveals, it refines, it transforms. And so, the question lingers: how will this force be carried forward? Will it remain steadfast, unwavering, undiminished? Because this journey was never meant to be walked alone. It is a movement, a ripple that extends beyond the self, igniting recognition in those still bound by illusion. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. To meet the depths of darkness without surrender, to reflect back truth without hesitation. This is the kind of presence that alters the very fabric of existence. It is not merely a personal victory, but a shift that echoes into the collective. And in that shift, a possibility emerges: the realization that even the most impenetrable shadows are not immune to light, that the seemingly unchangeable can, in fact, be touched by something greater. This is not about submission or conquest. It is about becoming the immovable force that allows transformation to unfold without fear.